Yes.
Years later, both ready to make their case before the first debate between a sitting president and muted when it's not their turn to tonight. Receiving the major abortion ruling from the Supreme Court 24 hours after that line. The justices officially issuing their decision today. Test
Why can't I see this?
And the tennis courts. We have new mats coming for the women's locker room, which should be here right after July 5th or so, I believe. That date, yeah, 5th through the 8th. And we're currently going to be working on some getting bids for power washing and fence repairs that are in need.
That's good news. All right, thank you. Item 5, the recreation report. Kristen's not here, so you're going to be filling in tonight, Matt?
Oh, yes, Kristen.
All right.
Kristen had a personal commitment tonight, so she apologizes for not being here. So I'm going to read the lifestyle and recreation report. We have a health lecture on stress management. That is Monday, July 15th at 1 p.m. in the ballroom. This is no charge, but please sign up with the concierge so we know how many people we have. And all the following are on sale right now. Bob Scott's Game Show Night is July 17th at 6:30 p.m. in the ballroom. We have a bus trip to New York City Theater District on July 17th and August 21st. The Mid-Atlantic Men's Show is Sunday, July 21st at 3 p.m. in the ballroom. That's on sale now. Yankees versus Mets at Yankee Stadium. That's Tuesday, July 23rd. Those tickets are also on sale. And we have the Atlantic City Resorts trip for August 7th, I apologize. And that's on sale too. And the details on the Greenbrier Whittingham Olympics will be available next week.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Let's move on to item number 6, a resolution of appreciation of clubs, Performing Arts Club. Do I have a motion on that? Bob moves it.
I'll second.
Jay seconds. Okay. Matt, can I have a vote roll on that?
Sure. Tom Clark,
Yes.
Jay Respler, Bob Brown, Kathy Dodano, Sergi, and Joe.
Okay. Hold on. Can I have the Board of Directors for the Performing Arts Club come up to the podium, and I'll read the resolution up there. right, this is a resolution of appreciation to the Performing Arts Council of Greenbrier. Whereas the Board of Directors of the Whittingham Homeowners Association desires to adopt the resolution of appreciation to inspire and encourage all forms of performing arts. And whereas the Greenbrier Performing Arts Council produced dramatic and musical plays fostering culture and diversity to our community. And whereas the Greenbrier Performing Arts Council produced the Golden Age of TV show in November of 2023 with 3 performances with over 600 people in attendance. And whereas the Greenbrier Performing Arts Council will be producing a cabaret night on June 29th, a musical showcase on August 25th, and stage struck in November of 2024. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Lowell Board wants to express gratitude and publicly thank the Greenbrier Performing Arts Council for developing programs and workshops designed for members of our community, for performing to a live audience, and for conducting workshops for vocal and acting classes. The Lowell Board formally recognizes the Board of Directors of the Greenbrier Performing Arts Club. We have Jerry Bisafia, Freda Fine, Barbara Kravitz, and Marie France McDonald. Be it further resolved to have the resolution of this appreciation spread across the minutes of the Lowell Board meeting of June 27th, 2024. Congratulations.
This is definitely an honor, and I'd like to thank the entire community for all of your support in everything we've done. Every time we do something, we get phone calls asking, can I come? Can I come? Can I come? We'll try to fit all of you in at some point or other. But again, just thank you to the community. You're the reason we got this. Thank you.
Hand it over to you, Mark.
Okay, the first thing I just want to mention, with regard to the berm on Birmingham, I don't know if any of the folks who live on Birmingham are here or are watching or listening on Zoom. However, I just want to make you aware that much has been said, much has been discussed, and the board has given a great deal of attention to this. We're working together with Matt on coming up with the next step in making the conditions there better than it is now, and you will be hearing from us shortly. The other thing I wanted to mention is that the Greenbrier Board and the Lowell Board have been working on getting together a plan for presenting the merger plan to the community. We were sidetracked by a few events, including COVID and then the change in the board structure. But we have spent a lot of time over the past few months, and we have put together a presentation, a slide presentation that we'll be scheduling in the ballroom over multiple days and evenings during the summer. And then come September, it will be added as a ballot question to our normal election. Come September, we'll have an election the way we normally do for the positions that will be open on these two boards. We will also ballot the community and ask them if they want to go forward with it after having heard everything presented to them and gotten all their questions asked. If it is approved by the community, there'll be another election thereafter. But you'll be hearing very, very shortly from us as to what dates we are going to schedule the ballroom for that purpose. There'll be no need to attend the very first presentation because there'll be multiple presentations. We'd rather do it with smaller groups than larger groups. This way, more people will be able to get their time at the podium to ask whatever questions they have. But that opportunity will be presented to you very, very shortly. We're right on the money now in getting that done. Okay, next I wanted to turn it over to Chester. Go ahead. What did I miss? Oh, I don't have the most current. Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay. Oh, so we have to, okay. We're just going to have a roll call vote to approve the minutes of the the May 30th joint open meeting. You want to call the roll for that, Matt?
Yeah, Mark Sirks,
Yes?
Alan Greenberg. Yes. Jack Sandler. Chester Trubinsky. Yes. And Wayne Baruch.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I apparently jumped to the update on the burn project. I didn't even know it was on there. And I mentioned the merger, and now Chester's going to talk about construction, and then okay, we'll deal with committees afterwards. Go ahead. Good.
The Site Review Committee has been pulling together information that pertains to construction projects on the exterior of the homes in Greenbrier. There's a lot of information that's scattered about. We have some in the original documents for here. Also, decisions have been made during the committee meetings to deal with situations that are brand new. I'll give you one example. When the community was built, patios were put in, and those patios were basically cement or brick, but there was no sitting walls or corner columns and things of that nature. So when we got the first application, we looked it over and we said, what are we going to do? We reached out to some surrounding communities, newer communities in some cases, and to get an idea of what they were allowing. So that kind of information has now been rolled up into this document. Another example would be where the builder put in a patio which was oversized relative to what is allowed today. So how do we deal with that? Well, we wanted to capture our thinking because not everyone will remain on the site review committee forever, and this information will be lost in time. So to answer that question or that piece of information, what we did is said, if the builder put it in, it's grandfathered. If you decide to tear it up and put in, get rid of the concrete or get rid of the red brick and put in pavers or something like that, then you comply with the new standard. So that's what you will find in this document, and hopefully the document will be of some use to the people in the community when they put their applications for home improvements together. I would expect that the document will be voted upon at the next meeting. That's about it. Thank you.
That's it for us until committee reports.
Yep. Now, what business?
All right, let's go on to item number 8, the Woolwood business. I'm going to combine the 2 minutes of meetings May 21st and May 30th of 2024, the Woolwood open meeting minutes and the joint open meeting minutes. Do I have a motion on that? Motion by Jay, seconded by Sir G. Okay. Matt, can I have roll call, please?
Sure. Tom Clark,
Yes.
Jay Respler,
Yes.
Bob Brown. Yes. Kathy Dodano. Joe. Yes. Surjit. Yes. Thank you.
All right, we have a reserve study proposal from Kipcon Engineering for WOA for $9,500. Do I have a motion on that? All right, who's, Joe moved it and Kathy second. Okay, can I have a roll call on that?
Yeah, Tom Clark,
Yes.
Jay Respler.
Yes.
Bob Brown,
Yes.
Kathy Dodano. Joe. Surjit.
All right, is there anyone in the public that would like to make comment on this particular item? We're on the Kipcon Engineering contract for $9,500.
Just to explain what this is, we've been talking about the capital reserve study. We had made attempts to contract with an engineer that didn't work out. And so we split the contract and taking the capital reserve study portion out of the contract so that we can get started on it right away. So we contracted with and I've certainly made this announcement before, we contracted with Kipcon, who is basically the leader in capital reserve studies. And the reason I say that is because the actual individual who heads up Kipcon is the individual who wrote the language for the new law that is in place. So Kipcon will be performing, or we've hired Kipcon to perform the capital reserve study for WOA. And right beneath it, we're going to talk about the Whittingham portion.
Okay, so does anyone in the public want to give comment on this? All right. You want to follow through with that comment? Okay.
Okay, so the reserve study is the financial piece and documentation whereby we go around and look at every asset that we have, every roof, every fence, every building, every item that has to be repaired over time. And the engineer will take that information and they will lay out for us when exactly it needs to be replaced based, one, on its life cycle, based, two, on its condition. So the pool, the guardhouse, all our buildings, all of that has to be serviced over time. All our homes, and I'll talk about Whittingham, so all our roofs, the fencing, the siding, that has to be repaired, renovated, replaced, whatever is necessary. And they will put together a list, item by item, and tell us when it needs to be replaced, whether we can hold out by perhaps doing some maintenance on it, and so on. And it's extremely critical to us right now. We have not had a complete study done since 2020.
Right, okay. Any comment? All right, come up to a microphone if you have a question.
Hi, Sandra Cohen, 9 Winthrop Road. The reserve study, was that because of something that happened in Florida?
The reserve study.
We've never had a reserve study in the community in 30
We've
years?
always had a reserve study. It is done once every 3 years. We are a little bit overdue. It's 2024. It should have been completed by 2023. But we are sort of paving the road to get that completed immediately. We've had, every 3 years, we have a study. Sometimes it's updated in between. It's a requirement for any homeowners association. Yes, Surf City created a problem for all homeowners associations, whereby now there are more restrictions, more requirements for the capital reserve study. So as I indicated, KIPCON is the pioneer who put these new laws and requirements together.
So if the KIPCON says that X, Y, and Z has to be done, where are you going to get the money to do that? That's the issue.
It's not that KIPCON says what has to be done. What they do is project
Yes.
what will have to be replaced, how far in the future it will have to be done, and what they anticipate it will cost at that point. So if you've got a parking lot that's going to cost $20,000 10 years from now, then KIPCON says you got to put $2,000 a year away for that parking lot. And they do that line by line: parking lot, sidewalk, roof,
Right.
carpeting,
But what
ballroom.
about the homes?
I'm sorry,
What about the homes?
the
Not-
homes?
Yeah, what about
Well, in the
Whittingham's
Whitting-
homes, which are behind in having things done?
Well,
as
let me
it
take.
is.
The report will outline all that. It's going to outline everything that we're responsible for in replacing. The idea is to get a true cost of what this is going to cost so we can try to have enough money encumbered to do all these improvements.
So right now, nothing is being done.
Well, we have to get the study completed first, and then things are going to be prioritized on the need.
How long do you think that will take?
We're hoping to get that back by maybe September, October.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on this from anyone?
I just want to comment, it's not that nothing is being done. We are doing what we can, but it would be foolish and irresponsible of us to go out and start making major renovations on what we think is important when perhaps they itemize something of more critical importance. And so we need the information, and at that point, we will at least be better informed of how to go ahead and spend our money.
Okay.
I'd like to add one item. We are talking about two studies, one for BOA, that's the building and the amenities. And then the second one is for Whittingham. That's where the homes come into play.
Mhm.
And I think we just took a vote on the first one. And the next line item is for the Whittingham section.
Okay. All right. Matt, can I have roll call for the study for the WOA for $9,500?
Sure. Tom Clark,
Yes.
Jay Respler, Bob Brown, Kathy Donato, Surjeet, and Joe.
All right. So the next item is the reserve study proposal for KIPCON Engineering for the Whittingham, for the homes, for $6,500. Does anyone in the public have a question on this? Come up to the microphone. I can't have a conversation from someone shooting out from the chair.
So where is that money coming from? Because from what I remember, Kathy said everything was very tight and we were okay. So, and we weren't spending any money. So where is that $6,000 and $9,000 coming from?
Capital Reserve Study is funded by capital reserves. So in our capital reserve, and as I said, this is a requirement. We don't have an alternative, and it is an item that would be budgeted for. Again, the last one was completed in 2020. We're now at 2024. We have to get it done. This is relative to we've had other bids. They were comparable. This is not out of line. It's
Well,
not
I
excessive.
understand. I just wanted to know
Yeah,
where
capital
we're getting that
reserves.
money from.
It comes from our capital reserve accounts.
There
Yes.
is money in the budget, because I thought we were like
Have to.
very tight.
We,
Okay.
we are tight, of course, because there's a lot that needs to be done. Not that there is no money in our, we have money. It is sitting in our capital reserves. But as I said, we're not going to foolishly spend it on what we think is important
No,
when an engineer tells
I
us
understand
something
that.
else is falling apart.
but the engineers who were previously with the community, I don't remember their names, there were things that they were going to do, that's not on the list anymore. We're waiting for the KipCon to come and reevaluate. Is that what you're saying?
The last capital reserve study that we had done was 2020. It was updated by those engineers in 2022. The review of the information they provided to us showed us, and this is prior to our controller leaving, so this was also substantiated by our controller at the time. He felt that they had not updated their costs. They had not updated the study correctly. They had not updated those items that had already been completed. They didn't even include them in the study. At that point, our controller said he did not want to trust the reserve study that was done. And so starting then, we attempted to put together a contract and obtain another engineer to do that study. We made that attempt. That did not work. We're now going with this sort of piece. We're taking it out. It's extremely important. We're going to go forward with that reserve study.
Thank you, Kathy.
Sure.
All right. Any other questions? All right, have a motion on that? All right, second? Second. All right, Matt, can I have a roll call, please?
Sure. Tom Clark,
Yes.
Jay Wrestler,
Yes.
Bob Brown,
Yes.
Kathy Dodano, Surjeet, and Joe.
All right. Next item here is something I think everyone here is aware of. We had a problem with our well, and we required having a new pump. So all that work was done on an emergency basis. What's on here, the work was done. This is just to formalize it so we can pay the vendor. So anyone have any questions in regards to this? Okay, so do I have a motion on this? All right, Jay moved it, second by Kat. Surjeet, okay. Matt, can I have a roll call, please?
Yeah, Tom Clark,
Yes.
Jay Wrestler,
Yes.
Bob Brown,
Yes.
Kathy Dodano, Surjeet, and Joe.
Okay, we'll go over to the committee reports. I'll turn it back over to Greenbrier.
Okay,
Can I just say something real quick? The replacement of the pump, I really want to appreciate Susie and Matt. This was done at a breakneck speed within days. So, and I also want to, thank Pickwick, try to help us. This was a very bad time of the year for this to happen.
Emergency repair was for what $15,430. All right,
And that is unbudgeted. It's emergency item.
okay, no other further discussion. Moving on to the committee reports. Again, Mark, I'm turning it to you.
Okay, so on behalf of the Greenbrier Board, the Budget and Finance Committee met on Tuesday, May 21st. The purpose of the meeting was that we have a number of meetings during the year. This was the first meeting to determine how we were doing with our budget for 2024. It was a report based on the first 3 months of 2024, and we are doing well. We are under budget, and we are going along well. If emergencies come up, we take care of them if we have to, but we were doing fine with our budget. And we will have more meetings starting in August to plan for the budget for the coming year. Regarding, I just want to piggyback a little bit on what was previously said regarding reserve studies. Reserve studies for homeowners associations, condo associations are mandatory, or should be mandatory. People need to set aside money for future expenses, for things that will wear down within 20 years, 25 years. So much like you budget for your home, if you have a single family home and your roof is going to go, in a few years, you start budgeting towards it. So as far as the reserve budget for Greenbrier, it was commissioned late 2022, and we got the results in 2023. We reviewed it, made some corrections to some streets that had already been paved. So our budget, our reserve study is primarily for the paving of the streets in our community. So as most of the Greenbrier residents here know, that about 90% of our streets have been paved during the last 8 years. This will be the 9th and final year of our paving project. Originally, we thought it might be 6 to 7 years, but we were able to stretch it out because some of the streets were lasting longer than we anticipated. So now, this is the last year. Chandler and Ramsey will be done sometime in September, October. We have a number of bids from different vendors, and we're going to go over the bids and decide, which vendor we will use. So once this paving project is done, that doesn't mean that we don't do a reserve study anymore. It doesn't mean that we stop collecting money. We have to save for the next 15, 20 years when the next paving project will start again. So we are always on the lookout for making sure we have enough funds, enough things in our budget to pay for. So the Greenbrier Board is very happy that we have been able and very successful in reserving money that we need. So I want to thank everybody for their attention to this.
The Covenants Committee hasn't met since our last meeting, so there are no new covenants reports.
The site review committee met June 4th. At that time, 27 applications were reviewed. And the committee members conducted 11 site inspections to measure compliance to the application. I neglected to, or didn't have the data for May, so I'll just give that to you as well. May 7th, 21 applications were reviewed. So it's a reasonably busy group. And 11 site inspections for compliance were undertaken. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm here to give you the newcomer update. So the next meeting we have scheduled for newcomers is July 23rd. At this point, we have 30 new people to our community, both Greenbrier and Whittingham communities, and we hope we have a great crowd. I can share with you more at the next meeting how that goes, but we expect it to be wonderful. And I will take this moment, because the microphone's in front of my face. There's a new club. This is probably not the appropriate time, but the microphone's here. On Monday, if anybody's interested, in this room at 7 p.m., I think I called it the Wine Education and Dinner Club. Wine Education. Yes, Wine Education and Dinner Club. So we will be having the organizational meeting to discuss more about the details then, or we can talk about it after the meeting if you're interested. So if you can join, that would be wonderful.
Got everything, Mark? You done? Okay. All right, let's go back to the Woolwood business. The Budget and Finance Committee, Kathy?
For Budget and Finance, I don't have any. Can everyone hear me? No. Okay, let me go a little bit closer. This one is acting very different than that one. Okay, on Budget and Finance, I don't have anything new to report. I did update our last meeting. We had done and presented to our Budget and Finance Committee our year-to-date March results. There were no major concerns. We did receive April. We have not gotten May as yet. We are expecting it by next week. First Service, who has now transitioned, or we have now transitioned to First Service financial systems. They're still in the process of going through that transition and finalizing, making sure that everything is ties, reconciles, and that everything is good. So the controller has indicated that by next week, we'll have our May results, and then I can report on that in the next meeting.
We'll have a report on the covenants. Suji?
Yes, we do. This actually was our first meeting, and I really appreciate a great group of people under the leadership of John Kaiser. It was a wonderful meeting. There were 11 people who wanted Covenant to consider the tickets they were issued. And these were related to handicap zone issues. So Covenants did their due diligence, and all 11 parties were present. And Covenants made their, in my judgment, fair and compassionate recommendation. And I think I will share that, present that to the board at our next meeting for their okay. And I will strongly urge the board, to go along with the Covenants decide. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Do I have a report from the Entertainment Committee?
Do.
Thank you.
All right, we had a car show on June 8th, and I want to thank the people who were involved in that. We had about 40 cars here, classics, oldies. I mean, the cars were fantastic. The band NTO, Never Too Old, from the music club, provided a set of music. We had a pretty good DJ. No, he was terrible. And anyway, that was a great day. It was a nice day. Everybody was walking around. The weather was perfect, okay? In terms of the shows, we had 6 shows so far for the year. The first 6 months of 2024, 3 shows had a surplus, 2 shows had a loss, 1 show was break even, but that's what we strive to do. We have a budget surplus here to date of $1,752, which is what we try to do to provide better entertainment and a big diversity of entertainment. So sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. Coming up, we have the Mid-Atlantic Men. That's from ABBA to Aerosmith. That's in July. Unfortunately, it's not selling as robust as we thought it would. These guys are good. Go on the website, listen to these folks. One guy's from Britain. One guy was in the Jersey Boys original. I mean, these guys are really, really good. So you got to try, check it out. It's really good. In August, we have a Endless Summer, the Beach Boys tribute band, another one. In September, we have Kindred Spirit, classic rock and soul. October, the Infernos, R&B and disco. So you can put your capizios on and dance along with the band. And in November, we have the One Hit Wonders. You got to hear these guys. These are all the songs that you heard on AM radio that made one hit. For example, a band called Pilot made song called Magic. Now it's the Ozempic commercial. Okay? So enjoy and look at the flyers. Please look at their websites and listen to the website, listen to their videos before you commit. Because you'd hate to have someone come here and the music is not of their cup of tea, okay? Thank you.
Okay, Joe, thank you. Landscape Committee?
The only item on Landscape Committee that we need to discuss, we had I think it was a blue spruce at the front entrance that was blocking the sign. There was a lot of contention about this, but unfortunately for safety reasons, we had to take that bush down. We are replacing it with low-level plants, flowers, and hopefully, I think at the very least, we're not going to have that concern about safety. Security was complaining that people would break at the front of the entrance and that it was causing a lot of skids because they could not see the sign. So we had to take care of that. That's the only thing on landscaping.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. We have the Site Review Committee. Joan, you're on the committee. Could you please give us a report, please? Thank you. She's filling in for Karen.
I'm chair of Whittingham's Site Review Committee, and I.
The microphone turned.
Closer, you think? Okay. I'm chair of the Whittingham Site Review Committee. I'm chair of the Whittingham Site Review Committee. And like Chess said, we're now encountering, because our rules are so old, homeowners who are asking us for things that are not in the rules. And we're struggling a little. So I've asked for a meeting with Matt and Susie so that we can present a proposal to the WOA board to amend some of our rules and to also accommodate homeowner requests that would have no impact on our bottom line, but we really have a concern about the common property problems. And we have a problem about the common property here and the impact on it. And so we would need to reach out to our insurance vendor to see if we can go ahead and protect the common property. As an example, and we have a time restriction also, we have a proposal for a hot tub and in a townhome. The issue we've got is they would go through the town process, but the drain off would be once a year into a sewer. I called Monroe Township Water Department to see if that was allowable because it's chlorinated. I have yet to hear from them. So I'm going to need Matt's help and Susie's help with some of these projects going forward. But our rules really are outdated and our homeowners are asking for things that are not in the rules that I really need the guidance of the board. Thank you.
Right, well, thank you for the report.
I would also like to thank Chess, who's our honorary member from Greenbrier. He's been very helpful to us over the 3 years we've been in existence.
Great. All right, thank you very much. All right, Town Center Committee. Maureen is here. She's got a report she's going to read in. And then jump in after Maureen gives a report.
Good evening. The GW Town Center Committee met on Thursday, June 13th. These are some of the topics discussed. In the fitness center, the new freestanding punching bag has a new mat beneath it. Floor mats in the pool and locker room areas, similar to the new one installed, have been ordered and will be placed when they arrive, which Matt mentioned earlier this evening. And there will be extras if later needed. Bids have been sought for tinting the windows in the pool area to reduce the sun in the late afternoon. The existing windows, which need cleaning now, will be cleaned and professionally cleaned if the tint is applied. Another area that needs addressing is the problem that the doors leading from the back area by the pool are locked at all times, and there is no way to use your ID card to get in. There's no strip there to use. So what they do now is they end up coming in the door that is opposite the staircase going up into the lower area in the facility here. And they go through those doors in wetsuits and walk down the hall to use the bathrooms that are right there. It was requested that the locked doors be left open during the day or have the code readers installed. ID tags, many feel, are obsolete at this point and unnecessary, with the exception of using them to go into the indoor pool. In the ballroom, bids are being sought for the replacement of the stage curtains, which need to be replaced in the very near future for safety and compliance with code. There has been no interest in the old bingo machine, and it will be removed permanently. The use of the coat room was questioned. It seems to be crowded with obsolete items, and actually it could be accommodated in the library for the few times that there are coats that coat rack would be needed. Since basically the only time that they used the coat room in the past was for the New Year's Eve party. Other ideas for one or two vending machines near the restaurant. They could be used for times when a restaurant is closed, and we also await the results of the recent restaurant survey. Finally, the all-purpose room where this committee meets, as do others, and as a game room, we feel needs a little decorating with moderately priced canvas pictures, and request a budget for this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Excellent report. Good report. Jay, do you have anything to add?
No, these are all things I sent to the committee.
Okay. Okay, very good.
Work on it.
All right, we'll take everything into consideration. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the item 10, the financial update. Kathy will give the report. It's not on anyone's agenda. I don't know if it was late on adding on to the survey, but once Kathy gets done with the financial update, we're going to clear out over here and move to the side, and Kathy will walk you through the survey. She's got a lot of information to share with you on that. So Kathy?
Okay, we're going to talk about the results of the restaurant survey. It's not going to take long. It's about a 10-minute slide presentation, and I'm going to go question by question. I am. I basically did. Thanks, Tom. Am I in anyone's way? No? Great. Okay. Okay, Jose just has to do something on his side, our IT person, and then we can proceed. We're good? Okay. All right, so we're going to start with our first slide. Except it's not working. Here it goes. Oh, okay. So we're going to talk about information about the survey and the data that was collected. The purpose of this survey was so that the WOA board could better understand how residents felt about having a restaurant and how important it was to the community. We also wanted to get a feel for what changes would encourage our residents to patronize the restaurant more frequently. So how was the survey structured? The survey was sent to all residents, and every member of the household had an opportunity to respond. It consisted of 10 questions and was distributed to our residents on June 12th with a cutoff date of June 28th, which is tomorrow. We decided to make the results available to you during this meeting since the number of incoming responses has decreased considerably. And we think that the data that we now have is indicative of the overall results. So how many responded? A total of 731 residents. That's about 30% of the community. I'm actually surprised, it's a survey. 731 residents submitted responses to the survey. There were actually 751, but we omitted 20 duplicate email addresses from the results. We didn't want to count anyone's twice. At this time, I want to thank all those who took the time to respond. We hope to use the same forum for future surveys to better understand what the majority of our homeowners want in their community. So the first question we asked was, would you like to have an on-site restaurant? Out of the total 731 distinct responses that were received, 721 responded, 10 left it blank for whatever reason. Out of those 721, 664, an overwhelming 92% responded yes, they want a restaurant. Only 57% only 57 residents or 8% responded no. Question 2 was, what kind of restaurant do you think would work better in our community? And we asked the reader to pick 2 options. So the selection that most often was chosen by our residents was lunch and dinner. And I had just summarized each of these options by saying lunch and dinner is generally about 11 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. That option had 29% of the responses. The second most often chosen selection was a full service restaurant, open from 8 in the morning to 6:30, would serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner, with 24% of the responses. Between these 2 choices, first and second choice, 53% of the residents of the community obviously wanted more service than what is currently being offered. The third choice was a pizza restaurant, and the fourth choice was snack bar. You can read through the others. Question 3 was, on average, how often do you use the restaurant? We want to get an understanding of how often currently people used the restaurant. The selection most often chosen by our residents was once a week, and that was 33% of the total responses for this question. The second most often chosen response was once a month, with 23% of the responses. 14% of our residents said they never used the restaurant. That's sad. Based on the comments, it's important to note that they attributed it mostly to the limited hours of service. The third option was kind of a multitude of options. People had the option to put their own answer in Some people put occasionally, twice a week, other. The fourth option was more than 3 times a week with only 10%. Question 4. What would make the restaurant more appealing and encourage you to use it more often? We asked the reader to pick 2 choices here also. The selection most often chosen by our residents was longer hours or more days per week, with 26% of the responses. A lot of people wrote in longer hours and more days per week, but that's incidental. The second most often chosen response was better food selections, with 23% of the responses. The third choice, interesting, more variety. And the fourth choice was better quality food. I was quite surprised to see lower prices was 5th choice. Okay, question 5 was, are you happy with the decor in the restaurant? 684 residents responded to this question, 47 left it blank. Out of the 684 who responded, 471, or 69%, a large group, responded yes, they are happy with the decor. 213, or 31%, said no, they're not happy. Question 6 was, if you are not happy with the decor, what would you like to change? And we had asked the residents to pick 2 options. So there were 274 residents who responded to this question, which basically were the 31% who were not happy with the decor, plus some others who were, but they wanted to offer their suggestions. So out of these responses, the selection most often chosen by our residents was to remove the carpeting and replace it with vinyl flooring. And that was with a total of 31% of the responses. The second most often chosen response was to brighten up the walls by painting over the wood, with 28% of the responses. Their choice was to add brighter lighting. Okay, questions 7 and 8 had 2 parts to it. We wanted to know if you would be willing to get a prepaid card to encourage better restaurant service at $10 a month or $120 a year to be used at the restaurant. 698 responded to this question. 33 left it blank. Out of the 698 who responded, 505, or 72%, a large majority, responded yes, $10 a month was acceptable. 193, or 28%, responded no. So moving over to the other part of this question, how about $15 a month or $180 a year to be used at the restaurant? 673 less people responded to this question, 58 left it blank. Out of the 673 who did respond, 369, which is 55%, still a majority, responded yes, $15 a month was acceptable. A larger group, 304, or 45%, responded no. Okay, the last question we asked you to consider was, if not a restaurant, what would you like to see in its place? There were only 134 responses to this question, which indicates to us that the remaining residents, roughly 597, and who left this blank, really want a restaurant in the community and nothing else. And that kind of just agrees with the first slide where 92% said yes, they want a restaurant. So for the small population that don't want a restaurant, the selection most often chosen was for entertainment space, with 41% of the responses. And the second most often chosen response was for other types of space, including a bar. Some wanted the restaurant with the bar, lounge, restaurant with a lounge, dance room, etc., with 29% of the responses. The third choice was recreational space. Okay, so moving on to this last slide, this is it. There were 300 comments provided by our residents. In reading and evaluating every single comment, we learned that our residents are generally not happy with the current restaurant. There were only 15 out of 300, or 5% of the residents who responded, commented favorably towards the existing restaurant. Overall, the feedback was overwhelmingly constructive and useful. I do want to comment that only 2 out of 731 residents felt the need to be disrespectful in their commentary. They know who they are. The remaining 298 comments were very respectful of the efforts and actions taken. Thank you for those who offered positive feedback. I really appreciate it. I just want to add one little comment because I saw only a few residents who made statements that the board forced the restaurant out. I know we've addressed this, and we will reiterate that the vendor was not forced out. The board and the restaurant owner worked together on terms that were agreeable to both parties. We drew up a contract that the restaurant would not sign. Concessions from that original agreement were made over and over on both sides, but again, he would not sign it. He wanted a month-to-month contract, which showed us a lack of commitment to the community, and we couldn't agree to that. So that concludes the presentation, and we can take any questions if anyone has any questions.
All right, before we get there, I wanted to commend Kathy. I mean, she's done a wonderful job on this. She worked very hard. So we really appreciate the effort that she puts into this board and how serious she takes the job. So it makes it a lot easier for everyone on the board and for everyone who lives in this community. So Kathy, thank you.
Want to say this?
Yeah.
I just want to add one little commentary. This is a wonderful community. I've loved it here. A lot of us have enjoyed living here and meeting great people around us. I just want to take some time to remind everyone that there are a number of residents in our community who are disabled or alone. And as neighbors, there's nothing more fulfilling than being able to help the people around you who are not as mobile as we might be. I know that we're all busy, but if you have some time, please ask your neighbor if they may need a hand taking out their garbage, bringing the garbage in, or perhaps they need some groceries from the store that you could pick up on your way. If you have a few extra minutes, maybe you can sit down and talk to them. And I just say that because it's just been so incredibly hot, and there are a lot of people out there that can't get out. So always remember that an act of kindness goes a long way, and it's generally returned tenfold. Just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you again, Kathy. All right, this will move us to the open forum. Any questions regarding questions on the survey that you may have? You pretty much know the drill. Come to the microphone, give your name and address, and give us your question. So I'll start with the first speaker.
You took the words, oh, Wally Reich, Free Wellfleet. The mic. I was going to say exactly what Tom said. This was a Herculean job done by the board. Kathy put it all together and it was wonderful. I had a lot of apprehension, shall we say, when we changed boards, but there is wonderful, it's a wonderful life. I want to get right, I'll control myself. Okay, the survey was great. I have to say, it came out exactly how I felt. We do need a restaurant. Our real estate people put it in their perspectives, and you know that there is a restaurant here, and this will continue our good vibes, let's say, for Greenbrier. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Tom, and the board, really.
All right, thank you very much. Next
Marcia
speaker.
Forrest, 11 Whitehall. I have a question about the discretionary fund. You know, every month we talk about new people coming in, which is great. We don't have, I don't know, but I don't think we have many vacant homes. And it occurred to me that we've probably accumulated a lot of money in both the Greenbrier and the WOA discretionary funds. And I had asked this question with the previous, I don't even want to call him a controller because I don't know what he was. He wasn't a CPA, I don't know. But I asked about, that there were hundreds of thousands of dollars that had accumulated in both those funds. And couldn't some of the money be used, not all, to subsidize, to help us to subsidize, let's say, the restaurant in the winter when the snowbirds go? And he gave me an answer which wasn't acceptable at the time, having to do with that money needed to be used in the event of a catastrophic event, which might be true to a certain extent. But I asked the boards whether or not some of that money that's sitting there, probably earning interest, could be used to help, especially the people, I don't want to say in Whittingham, but I know they took a much bigger hit than the people in Greenbrier when it came to our increase this year. So that's my question.
It's a great question. And Kathy's got a lot of information on how it's been used in the past. And I think she should give you a little bit of history on that. And then it's up to the board's decision how it wants to be handled in the future. I mean, obviously, it's a good source of revenue to do a lot of capital improvements because it's kind of found money. But, you know, there's a lot of things that need to be done. So, but let me turn it over to Kathy. Kathy will give you a history of how that money was used in past budgets and what we might be able to do now.
Can I just make a comment about the restaurant thing?
Sure.
Okay, so one of our residents sitting here, I'm not going to mention his name, only if he wants to come up to the mic and discuss this, is a member of a community in Florida that contributes on a monthly basis, similar to one of the questions in the survey. And they have a thriving restaurant. Would you say, Ari? No, it's not thriving. Is it? Okay, so would you want to come up at all? Would you want to just tell us a little bit about the restaurant and how it works?
A month.
Okay. Okay, so Ari is a resident of Greenbrier and in the Florida community. Tell us a little bit more about your restaurant there.
We have a restaurant in Boynton Beach. Everyone pays $236 a year to the restaurant. And of course, you can eat up to $236 per family. However, they're not making money. We have to subsidize them up to $60,000 a year.
That's it. Thank you. Okay.
Jack, do you have anything to talk about your discretionary funding?
I'm sorry. Everyone pays 236. And in addition, the restaurants get subsidized up to $60,000. 968 residents. 1,000 residents.
Okay, okay. All right.
So regarding,
right,
thank you, Ari,
thank
thank you very
you.
much. No,
Thank
no, we need to know the real answers here. Thank you. So regarding the use of discretionary funds to support a restaurant, that's a no-no. To subsidize? I think discretionary funds are more likely to be used for things that happen in the community. A road goes bad, something happens, you need the money around. You cannot use discretionary funds to subsidize a restaurant.
Okay.
Kathy?
Yeah, Marcia, I understand what you're asking. The discretionary funds are used for events that surface that are either unbudgeted for in either the capital reserve or in the annual budget. Something comes up, we need to do certain work. This discretionary funds are there for that purpose. It isn't accumulating endlessly the way you're describing it. It accumulates and is consumed. And I assume it's the same way on the Woa and Whittingham side.
Kathy, have you got anything to add to this conversation?
I agree with what Jack said. Let me explain what the discretionary fund is. We do have a discretionary fund for WOA and one for Whittingham, and of course, Greenbrier has their own. The discretionary fund for every individual that buys into our community, there is a deposit that goes into that discretionary fund. As we have emergencies over the course of a year, for example, Pickwick well drilling, as we saw earlier, was a $15,000 item. It is not budgeted. No one expected the well pump to break, and certainly didn't expect it now. Unfortunately, we had to repair it. Where do we get the funding from? You either underrun in other areas, or we can then reach into our discretionary fund. That fund over the years has been used for those purposes, emergency purposes and so on. What you're saying, Marcia, for those purposes, for the purpose, let's say, of funding or subsidizing a restaurant, we wouldn't use discretionary, we would find a budget for it and continue that budget year after year. Now, there are, and I'm going to say this, and maybe I'm sort of putting the cart before the horse, but there are opportunities, as I've said before, with the change over to our management company. We certainly are realizing some savings. Unfortunately, we were under budgeted in a lot of categories, but nonetheless, and certainly a lot of that is eaten away in 2024. I've said this before, but in 2025, we do expect to see some real savings. That's why we wanted to find out how much residents were willing to have the restaurant and whether that was something that we needed to worry about as we go forward.
I appreciate what you said, and I didn't think that I implied the discretionary fund should support the restaurant. That wasn't my intention. It was in the event we needed a little extra push in like the winter time. And by the way, I was on the Greenbrier board years ago when we had an issue with what was known as the Trent Dam. And we needed to come up with about $300 and some odd thousand, which we were able to do by hitting the Greenbrier discretionary fund. And it is a growing fund because every time somebody moves in, there's money put in it. So it's not like whatever is in it now is going to be the way it is, Jack. It's always growing. And
Okay. All right. All right. Next speaker, please.
Hi, Sandra Cohen, 9 Winthrop Road. Just just a question, because it just popped in my mind. Are we still getting $50,000 from Comcast?
We do not get $50,000 from Comcast.
Do we get money from Comcast like we
Well-
always did?
Well, there was a contract that was signed about 4 years ago that locked us into a 10-year agreement. I believe you were on the board at that time, and I think.
Didn't she sign it?
Well,
And
in,
that's-
in review of the contract, yes, Sandra, you
yeah.
did sign the contract, but
Yeah, no, but that's because
But-
nobody else could come here. That was the issue.
we get, we get,
Right, but
we get-
that's why we did that. So we would
let
have.
me
more-
finish. It's a 10-year agreement. We get about $17,000 a year on a yearly basis. But for taking that money, we locked all the residential units into a retail pricing structure. So they're losing money, we're making 3 cents, and it was really not in the best interest, in my
I
opinion.
remember somehow it was much more than that. And no other company wanted to come here, but.
So I'm locked into this. I have a legal contract that,
Okay.
that the board
said
didn't,
sit
the board didn't
down?
even vote on. It was just signed.
Oh, it's you. All right, just a few little things. For the landscaping committee, I wanted to say something. In the back gate, I don't know how often they water it, but the hydrangeas are all wilting. So I don't know if there's something wrong with the water thing down there, but I come in that way and they're all just wilting over. As far as the town center, I was going to call somebody, but I didn't know who to call. The pool, the couch near the indoor pool, that was purchased to go outdoors in the summer in that big space when you walk in. I remember a lot of the guys used to hang out there and the women with umbrellas. I don't know why that's still here, but that's where we originally intended to. And the umbrellas that were purchased, the new ones, could we not have gotten the same color? We got like a beige thing, which shows every bit of dirt. So, okay. Now, I just have to make a comment about the certificates. You know, I've been here like 21 years with a lot of different committees, like the Civics Committee brings in a lot of political people, like the Tap Dancing Club always has their shows here without charging anybody anything, without ever being thanked. And it just, I don't know, it's like, I could not understand.
Well, Sandra,
Yes.
you didn't hear past comments, obviously. We're going to honor every club.
All right, but why?
Every club, because the
why-
2 current clubs that were being considered for this meeting, they had programs active at this time.
But
So
what
it was a
about all
chance
the
to
other
give them
clubs?
an opportunity to promote what they were doing for the community.
But what about all the
The
other
Civic
clubs
Center
that
has been
have-
asked to come in for the next meeting, and GW Friends has been asked, and they both accepted, and they were very happy that we gave them the call. There will be 2 clubs every month because every club has its own individual contributions to the community, so we want to recognize them
Okay,
as such.
but what about like the artists who are showing their photography and stuff? It's
Every
beautiful.
club,
But
you're not
why-
hearing me. Everyone is going to
I
be
understand. But
appreciated.
why did you start with the newest clubs?
I
and
just
not-
told you why. They have a current program going on. If you listen to the resolution, there's 2 programs coming up. One is in 2 days. So we're giving them an opportunity to promote what they're doing. Thank you. Speaker, please.
John P. Overson, 87 Birmingham. When we have elections and we vote people on the board, we vote them on the board to represent us. And in the case of the berm, I don't think any one of you live on Birmingham, so I don't know how you can make that decision to destroy the berm. We bought the house, so we don't, the traffic is another issue. I'm not complaining about the traffic. I don't want to see the traffic. And I don't want to see what was happened down there. I know it's this board. What happened down the other end is a disaster. And I personally, I think that for the 25 houses that are affected, I think maybe the board should send something and see what we want, so you can represent us in the manner that you're supposed to represent us. Thank you.
At recent meetings, we've explained the rationale that was utilized for the decision to do what was done at the berm at multiple recent meetings. Additionally, at this meeting, I explained that the board is addressing the problem. And I don't know if you were out there, the board went to the berm, met with the homeowners affected, all of the homeowners that were there, discussed it with us. They made their feelings known. We offered a variety of alternative to what is there now. They made their feelings known to us, and we went back and looked into it. So it's not that we're not attending to it. It's not over yet. Well, I stated right early in this meeting that we're working on it presently, and we'll have a new alternative to share with the homeowners up there. Go ahead, Jack.
Any new plantings can't be done. Any new plantings can't be done till September because we don't want them to put them in the middle of 100 degrees. But you will be contacted. The residents will be advised. We'll bring them in. We'll work it out. Okay. The idea of the berm, redoing the berm, was a well-intentioned idea, not to give you aggravation, not to give us aggravation. The execution was not great, was poor. So we are aware of that, and we will correct the situation. We have not forgotten about you, okay? Thank you.
Microphone is here.
Barbara Rathbuck, 10C Rutland. I understand that the pump has been replaced. I do know that there are areas of Whittingham where there is no irrigation. I had irrigation once. It came on at 8:48 like it was supposed to. It has not come on since. Across from me, there's been none since the beginning. What is the status right now? The pump is working, but obviously the sensors are not working in some areas. I know we've put in work orders. Can you tell me what's going on?
I can handle that. They're actually going through all the work orders right now. We have a huge backlog, as you can probably imagine, since it was turned off for a while and wasn't working properly. So they're going to be out here tomorrow again, I believe, too, and they're going to try and get through every single work order. They're just chipping away at it. And they've been here 4 times this week so far.
My second question has to do with insurance and the proposal to change the resolution so that it reflects $100,000 deductible payable by the community rather than the $9,725 that it presently states. That's a legal issue. And I really hope the board is working on it right now before we do have a problem.
Working on that right now. We're working with the attorneys on that.
Do you have any idea when it might go through?
Well, hopefully sooner than later. Maybe the next board, I'm hoping.
Okay, thank you.
Mark Lindell, 15 Trent Road. Can you hear me? Okay. Mark, you mentioned before about patios and new regulations. Will Chester, about new regulations for patios, will previously approved patios and sitting walls be grandfathered?
Okay. I believe I said that previously constructed patios, those put in by the builder that might be oversized, would be grandfathered so long as they were not changed. If you,
No, I'm talking about previously approved that we as new homeowners 9 years ago when I moved in, I put in a patio with a sitting wall. That was
right?
approved.
Yes.
That's grandfathered.
We're not going to go backwards
Okay.
now.
Mark, also, you spoke about the merger, and there would be, in effect, two elections, as I've heard it. One would be approve the merger and at the same time elect the currently situated board. No,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
open
I think,
positions.
I think
on the
he's,
op-
yeah, what's going to happen is in September, we would normally have an election where members of this board would be up, or positions would be up for election. Members of this board would be up for election. That election is going to take place as normally has in the past. Whatever seats are open on these two boards will be up for election. Simultaneously on that ballot will be a ballot question with regard to the merger. At that moment in time, when people vote on that ballot question, they will have had ample opportunity to attend a variety of educational programs and ask any questions. So at that point in time, they will be asked the question, do you want to go ahead with the governance merger of the two boards?
That's what I thought I heard. Now, the problem there is you people will be running for an election twice. Why don't you have the merger vote first? And once you have that merger vote, yes or no, then you can reconstitute the board as the new merger says, or elect the people that are up for election otherwise.
It still comes down to two
You
elections.
people will be running twice.
No,
rather
when you
than
say
once.
you two people, let me explain one more thing. Now, maybe this was overlooked and this may give you clarity. The second, if the community votes in favor of the merger, the new board, the merged board that we're calling GWOA, we had Greenbrier Board, we have WOA Board, the new board we're calling GWOA Board. Every seat in the GWOA Board will be open. None of us sitting here today are guaranteed a seat in that board. Those 9 positions will be open for election, and everyone on this current board and everyone else in the community will be eligible to run. There will be no incumbent running on that election.
The problem is, Mark, if your seat is up in the first set of elections, you won, and the merger was approved, you'd have to run all over again.
Me and everybody else.
No, but if the merger is
Right. In other words, if I'm up for
approve the
election,
merger or not, then you have an election. Because that way you're electing people twice. It's a lot of mailing going on.
it really is, it really amounts to one thing or another, but the problem is we have to have the ballot election approved first. And all of these elections require a 30-day notification. So we want to be sure that come September, one way or another, there are boards seated here. If the ballot should fail, life goes on the way it is with a board that's already seated. If the ballot should pass, we run one more election and then no incumbency at that second
I
election.
understand what you're saying, but I think you're running, you yourselves are running twice rather than once.
Like I said, when you say I'm running, everybody's running in the second election.
No, but in the first election, the person whose seat is up has to run in the September election, and has to rerun if they lose.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but the people running in the September election,
Mailings cost money.
it's usually, yeah, it's a one-shot deal to convert over. At the end of the day, we'll have saved many more costs of elections by having one elected board. We'll have an election every year, but only one, not two.
That I
So
understand.
there'll be one election.
Last question. When will the financial statements start being posted on the portal? Also, when will the telephone books be on the portal? Because I have no way of, under the old portal, we had all the phone books. Under the new portal, there's nothing.
I've noticed that too. I can't find the phone directory on the portal any longer. I don't know why that disappeared.
Why don't you answer the first part on the financial question?
Okay, on the financials being uploaded, and I've made this announcement before, We are hoping to have everything uploaded by the end of July. And on a monthly basis, First Service will post financials sort of monthly without anyone having to ask for them. And everyone will be able to go to the portal and get that information.
And
Now,
how we do it on the audited financials?
the audited financials, as I had reported in previous meetings, they are continuing. We still have not gotten any major questions. There are some items that I think Sam, our First Service controller, has been working with the auditor, but nothing has come up major, nothing that Sam has had to get information on, which is a very good thing. As we had indicated before, we are expecting that they will be able to complete the audits by the end of September. And we're still on target for that. We have, as I said, we have not gotten any major
Way back when
concerns.
I worked in public accounting, and having 9 months to get a certified financial is ridiculous.
Oh, no, I agree. We came into this shocked. So I absolutely feel the concern from my end also. I do want to make a comment about the phone book. I understand that on the setting up your account, it asks whether or not you want to be listed in the phone book. And I'm getting the feeling that a lot of people are not noticing that, and they're not indicating that they want to be put in the phone book. Matt, I'm going to ask you if you could possibly look into that, because I think what we're realizing is that people are choosing not to be on, or maybe erroneously choosing not to be included. And so we only have like 14 people so far, and we're not understanding why. So we'll get to the bottom of that, but we just discovered that. He said if you're not going to sign up for the portal, does that mean you won't be in the phone book? That was the question. And I am going to turn to you, Matt, because I cannot answer that as yet.
We are going to find out and look into it because I don't have the answer right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, let's,
If you log on to the portal, there is an option to be listed in the phone book. And you have to select that option to be listed in the phone book. And I believe, Matt, that that's how it's working, or not.
correct. Okay, all right, we're gonna get to the bottom of your question, so we appreciate it, thank you. Next speaker.
Stan Wolf, 10 Gormley Lane. So I've been here for a number of years, and from what I understand, we've never had a restaurant that succeeded. So I don't know if we learned anything from all these failed restaurants, but now that we have a management company, can we have their help in having us run a restaurant or choose a restaurant? I'm sure they must have experience with developments where there are successful restaurants. So maybe we could rely on them to help us make this transition. Okay?
All right, go ahead, next.
Rochelle Goldschmidt, 129 Birmingham. I'm on the same topic. You did a terrific job on the restaurant survey, but what are we doing now? As of July 11th, we have nothing. No machines for somebody to get a snack, no restaurant. What are your plans? We know you've interviewed. We've spoken to some restaurants that have been interviewed and are willing to come in. What are the plans?
Well, that's basically the plan. We're gonna begin interviewing people who have expressed interest to us. We're going to make a determination, who do we think is best?
and we're gonna look at the financials. I mean, we gotta make sure these people are qualified and they can financially sustain themselves here. We want these restaurants to succeed. We don't want to rush into getting and selecting someone who's gonna fail.
But we've had several months now being
Well,
able to interview.
unfortunately,
Why don't
the current vendor who's in there had agreed to sign a lease, and then for a few months, we got fooled around with, so they backed out of the contract. So that delayed a lot of stuff here, and that's what's causing this void here
So
at the
what, you
moment.
think 2, 3, 6 months?
No, maybe sooner. I mean, we really wanted to get the new vendor in here before the summer season began. That was the goal. But unfortunately, that goal has changed now. So we're gonna get somebody in here as quickly as we can. We don't want to rush into it. We don't want to make mistakes. So we're gonna select the best one who's for our community. And we're gonna look at what the financial impact is gonna be on not only, us as the board, but for the homeowners as well. If there's gonna be a surcharge on your HOA fee to be able to have them come in, we want to make sure they're going to be the right people. So next speaker.
Mike Boxer, 2 Sherwood Drive. Just a couple of quick things. I play cards every Tuesday night. I went away vacation June 2nd. One of the stalls in the men's room here has been out for a few weeks. I come back, it's fixed. The other one is out. I mean, is there a shortage of plumbers? I mean, seriously, come on, guys.
Well, there's no shortage of plumbers. There's a
It can't be a
shortage.
short part. Buy a new toilet and put it in. What's it gonna cost you for a plumber? I mean, come on. We
If I
have,
showed you some of these bills that some of these vendors want, so we're pricing it
don't
out.
we have our in-house guy?
I mean, we'll get a bill for $800 to fix a toilet. So what do? You go around and shop around. It takes a little time.
Disgusting. As far as the restaurant goes, based on what Stan said and what I've said all along, I've been here since 10 years now, 11 years. We've had 5, maybe 6 different restaurants. The community, and I love the restaurant, but based on 30% response, does not want a restaurant. They will not support it. That's how I feel. If you have 30% respond to a survey, the other 70% will not visit it. And that's sad, because it's a nice feature in our community.
No, I think we're all in agreement with that.
You can't make everybody happy, but having something, breakfast, lunch, and dinner is ridiculous. It's never going to work here.
I'm not sure what you're saying, Michael. 92% of our residents said they wanted a restaurant.
How many responded? 30% of the community responded. Forget the 92% of the 30%.
But,
They
and
don't
this
su-
is.
We're
this
not
is-
supporting a restaurant
Okay.
unless 100% of the people are behind having a restaurant
Well,
and visit it.
Let me comment on this. I'm going to make a statement sort of just in general. When we have a vote in our community, only 30% generally respond, 40%. Now, that does not mean, one, that they don't want the restaurant or that they don't want to comment. It just means that either they're not concerned about it and they'll go with whatever it is, or they feel that those who do have the time to respond will take care of their response. Wait a second, we have elections for president and we don't get everyone voting. So I don't think you can look at it that way. I think there certainly is those who were concerned, those who will frequent the restaurant. They take the time to respond.
Do
They
you remember when we had the last $15 surcharge for the restaurant?
Yes.
The way the community reacted? That tells you they don't want it. But now you're asking them.
No.
Hold on. I'm giving my opinion, okay? Hold on. But I'm wrong.
All right, hold on, everyone. Let him
You know,
speak.
now you're
Let him
asking
speak.
a question of $10 or $15. Why not $25? If you're gonna eat there, it's coming back to you anyway. How can you be so freaking cheap? That shows you don't support a restaurant. I mean,
Unfortunately.
seriously, if we supported it, the original guy, unless he died, would still be here.
Understood.
Well,
And we are working to do what we can
I
do.
know you are. You
to
guys are doing a great
accommodate
job.
Everyone. So
But you
there
gotta
are
face
some
reality, though.
people who cannot afford $15 a month. I know for others who can, it seems difficult to comprehend, but there are some. And so we need to make sure that we can accommodate everyone, or at least be fair. Just, the purpose behind presenting the results is so that people understand they're not the only ones here. But in general, I think this is significant enough of a reply where we can say we can probably apply this to the entire community. I'm sure that the people that didn't respond, there are 92% of them and that are in favor, and probably 8% that are not.
But you guys are doing a great job anyway, so.
Thank
I'm
you.
not
Well-
mad at you guys. It's the community that
Oh,
upset.
all right, well, we thank you. Thank you. All right, seeing no one else at the microphone, I'll close the public portion. And
We-
I will go over to Matt and get comments from Zoom.
Okay, we have
Give me
a
a
couple
chance.
people on Zoom with questions. Steve Byer from 25D Rutland. Can you share with us the approximate dollar amount in our capital reserve fund?
We have, of course, we have 3 capital reserve funds. I won't talk about Greenbrier. We have our WOA fund, which is where our biggest problem is. We have approximately $475,000. I didn't look at it yesterday, so I can't really say, but as of the end of April, we had approximately $475,000 in the WOA fund. Not a lot of money. That's where the problem is. In the Whittingham Capital Reserve, there is 1.6 million. And rightfully, because they have the greater capital reserve expense. Now, 1.6 sounds, wow, a lot of money. When you add up 413 roofs, 413 sidings, fences, etc., chimneys, so on and so forth, you'll see that 1.6 million certainly is not going to cover it. So this is what and I've said this before, this is what we're trying to work with. We're trying to balance everything to make sure that those items that are critical get done first, and then work with what we have. That's all we can do. We came into this, and at least we're telling you.
Okay. And next question, Matt?
Okay. The second part of this is for Joe, so get ready, Joe. All right, it's from Diane Morris Path at 79 Leeds. First, thank you to all board members for all their hard work. Second, any update on the McDonald's restaurant? Saw it was
Oh,
not
boy.
on the agenda for the Township Zoning Board.
Okay, it was not put on the agenda for June. It is to the best of my knowledge from my contacts telling me it is going to be on the agenda in July. Again, it's subject to cancellation, of course. And we need a lot of people to show up. As we did last time, 175 people did from different communities. Hopefully that happens again. And if the zoning board declines the application, which my gut feeling tells me that they will, the applicant will be elevating it to the court in the county. The next council meeting, the same 175 people that come up for the zoning board should go to the council meeting also. And the question that will be asked will be this: because the zoning board declined the application and is elevating it to the county, will the township provide legal counsel and fight for the people who do not want this thing? Yes or no? Because we have 12,000 people in our communities around this thing that may not continue to like you in November. Sorry? I believe it's July 29th. Let me just check real quick. It's the last Thursday, 25th. It's the 23rd. Oh, zoning. zoning meeting is always the last Tuesday. The last one was the 25th. It wasn't on the agenda. And after that, the council meeting will probably be August, okay? No, the council meeting, the zoning meeting will happen first, and then the council meeting will happen a week or two after. But it's important to note that we have to show up, and this thing is going on, folks, since in October, it'll be 2 years. And the applicant, who has a lot of money, was waiting us out to see, well, maybe they won't show up next month. It didn't happen. We're not backing down. The parking lot is a challenge right now at best, with 175 accidents reported in the last 4 years. That's including 2 years of COVID, when no one went out. So now you want to put a 4,000 square foot standalone building with 2 drive-throughs, and you're cutting out one means of egress out of that parking lot? Makes no sense. So hopefully we'll have enough support and to stop this thing in its tracks. Thank you.
Okay. Next question, Matt?
Okay, this is the last one, and it's about the restaurant survey. It's from Irene Solomon. It's 6 leads. The restaurant survey addressed willingness to pay a fee. What was inadvertently not addressed was paying one fee if one owner and another paying a different fee annually if there's 2 owners. People eat, houses don't eat. Equality should address this. Services like lawn care are per home. That's different people's mouths. Not necessarily a question, but a comment.
Seeing no further questions, I will take a motion to adjourn. Jay has made the motion, a second. Kathy, a second. Okay, I consider the meeting closed. Thank you all for attending.